welcome to Career Girl Chats. My name is Anna O, and I am the founder of Career Girl Lifestyle. Today we are having part 2 of our Attracting Love as an Ambitious Woman discussion, and we will be joined by a very special guest, Miss Keli Pitts, also known as the Femininity Doctor. For those of you who are not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you go to Career Girl Lifestyle on YouTube because all of our Career Girl chats are all on our YouTube page. Before we get into tonight's chat, I did just want to read a brief bio about Keli so that we can understand why she is such an amazing fit for tonight's discussion. Keli Pitts, also known as the Femininity Doctor, is the best friend, advisor, and authentic voice that we didn't know we needed. As an advocate and author, she uses her personal experiences to teach women how to reclaim their femininity, attract high-value men, and master relationships. Let's jump right into the chat. Hi!
Hi!
Happy Friday!
Happy Friday to you. And listen, I have a glass of wine. I hope you guys don't mind.
Oh my, you were reading my mind, but I was like, you know what? I have to moderate and ask all these questions. I'm going to have one after.
You know what? And I have to answer the questions, but it's been such a long week. There's so much to celebrate, of course.
Yes!
I know. It's finally here. So I said, I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to just take off the edge, and it's going to be great. And thank you for that introduction. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us for Career Girl Chats, and congratulations on your new book. Can you just hold it up for us one more time?
Of course, of course.
Yay! Everybody, Keli has a new book out. I cannot wait for us to talk about it. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but it looks amazing.
I'm so glad.
I got my copy on my tablet, but I'm going to get a physical copy so that I can have it in my book on my bookshelf with all my other pretty pink books.
Thank you. It's so funny. So many women ordered the book. They're like, I love you and I support you, but I'm so glad this book is like pink because I can put it next to like my Girl Boss book and all these other amazing books. And I wanted the book to be super feminine, but also get to the point, you know, which is why there's like a prescription note, you know, because you're getting ready to really heal you in the area of femininity. No bubble gum, real good stuff.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So Keli, let's get into the chat. How did Keli Pitts become the Femininity Doctor?
Wow, that's so interesting. And so I can't say that I remember like there being one defining moment like, aha, you are the you are the Femininity Doctor, Grasshopper, nothing like that. But, you know, I talk about this briefly in my book. You know, I was, you know, raised by a narcissist. My father was a narcissist. I don't hide that. Right. And so if you've ever been in a relationship with a narcissist of any kind, you know that typically these people, especially if you're not strong, you know, and as a kid, you're not, you know, these people do a really great job at breaking you down and stripping you, right, of, you know, who you are, who you could potentially be to fit who they need you to be so that they can always have control over you. Right. And so for a very young age, I was just stripped. And by the time I was 18 and in college, sophomore in college, I realized I was like, you're really broken and something is wrong. There was a point in your life as a really, really young girl. You were happy, you were bubbly, you were so filled up with fire in life. You haven't been that in a long time and you need to figure out what is going on, right? And my faith really, you know, a lot of other things, but, you know, I remember being in my dorm room, you know, a sophomore, and I just prayed and I said, God, if you'll just make me the kind of woman that I can be proud of and that everyone around me can be proud of, I will do whatever you say. And I said that prayer every single day for as long as I can remember. And I started healing, right? And I talked to people. My journey to healing was 13 years. I always knew I would help other people heal, which is why I, you know, did pre-medicine and all of those things, right? But about a year or two ago, God made it very, very clear to me, like everything you've ever gone through was for this. You are going to heal other women in the area of femininity. I thought I was going into pediatrics, right? And you're going to talk to them from the heart about what you've gone through, how you went from being a very broken-hearted and essentially masculine, you know, girl to healing, softening, loving, and trusting again, and what that journey looks like on the other side. And so that is how I became the Femininity Doctor. God gave that to me last year. You're the Femininity Doctor.
I love that. I love the fact that your prayer said, I want to be a woman that's proud of myself. Yeah. Because oftentimes, you know, we always want to change so that we're seen by others a certain way. But how about us? Like, we have to love ourselves first. So I love that prayer. That's
Thank
a
you.
very rare prayer, and I think it's amazing. So, what is your philosophy on femininity, and why do you believe it's so important for women to embrace it and to own it?
My philosophy on femininity is that the world will never not need femininity. You know, if you believe in, you know, if you say God or the creator of heavens and earth, you know, whatever you believe, you can't argue that that yin and yang was created to have balance in the earth to the very last day, to the very end of time, right? And it's important because we have now we're entering into an era where women are realizing, like, you know what? I was tricked by the feminist movement. I do need a man. Men are not my enemy. And actually, we need each other. That yin and that yang, right?
Right.
So that is my philosophy on femininity. The world will never not need it. It's important now more than ever because masculinity has work to do, but so does femininity. And I believe femininity goes first. Mother Nature, everything is feminine at its core.
Yeah.
And so that is why this conversation is so important.
Yes, very important. I was telling my girlfriends that earlier. I'm like, how is it that us as women, we never discuss femininity? Like, that's not a topic that we normally talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
at least not in my friend circle, you know?
1000%. And it's so funny because, you know, this book is out. People are finding my page. People are tagging. And then I've decided to offer femininity coaching. My first round of coaching starts Monday. There are 3 slots left, right? And women are like, I want to be in it. You know, I want to do this. I want to do that. I never even knew there was a femininity coaching. I didn't really know I wasn't feminine, you know, until recently or until last year, right? So you're right. We're not talking about it. And I'm like, how are we not talking about something as important as essential as femininity?
Yeah. So can you explain to us what femininity is and what it isn't? Because I feel like when a lot of women hear the word, they think that they're being told to, you know, not be strong and not be powerful. So can you kind of debunk some of the misconceptions and just explain to us what it is?
Yeah, 1000%. And so if you go to the dictionary, right, you see that being feminine or femininity means having like a set of traits, you know, that are typically characteristic of a woman, right? And I find that that leaves women even more confused because they're like, well, nobody's ever talked to me about what those traits are. So thank you so much for that definition. That definition only tells half of the story. So I actually came up with my own, right? Or to complete that definition that you would see in like Webster, which is an understanding of your role in the natural and then living in that role or living in the natural at all times so that you can be successful and balanced, right? And so I do this little exercise, and I'll make this quick because this can go on. I do this little exercise. I have, you know, women who I sit with. I'm like, get out a sheet of paper, get out a pen right now. I want you to draw a line down the middle of the paper. On this side, put femininity. On this side, put masculinity. We're going to talk about nature. What was the woman set up to do? The woman was set up to be vulnerable, gentle, nurturing, soft, right? Pious. I'm not diminishing any woman. That does not mean that you don't have passions. That does not mean that you are not strong. In fact, operating in your femininity is one of the strongest things you can do. How can you ever be weak operating inside of your nature? Operating outside of your nature is when you start getting into trouble. When you are far from your nature, you are not truly successful. And when you are not truly successful, you are not happy. So that is how I describe femininity. Understanding what your nature is and operating in that at all times. Traits such as gentle, soft, vulnerable, you know, pious and nurturing, all of those things contribute to that. But that is how I define femininity. If you don't even know what your nature is, you know, and then I talk about masculine nature too, because that's important. But if you don't understand those two, you'll always straddle the line versus staying on your side of the line because you completely understand it.
Right. Besides the misconceptions surrounding femininity, why do you think that women have such a hard time embracing it?
A few reasons. A lot of women think back on their mothers and grandmothers and they go, I don't want to be like that. They didn't have the options I had. They couldn't go and get PhDs. They couldn't go in this. You know, their bodies were restricted. They were under the authority of men who are abusive and toxic and manipulative. And if that is what being feminine means, I want no parts of that. Right? A lot of women shun it, you know, for that reason. I think that a lot of women just don't want to be, you know, diminished, you know, and they saw their mothers and grandmothers, you know, and myself too, you know, we saw some things that we felt like the minute I can break free from this, I'm going to. But I'm like, that was just one part of it. that doesn't mean that that is all encompassing or something that you have to adhere to only. Nobody is saying that to be feminine it means you have to be under the control of a toxic a man, or that, oh, I can only cook and clean and that's all I'm good for. No one is saying that. That is what you saw in an unhealthy relationship or unhealthy relationship. So you think it means that, which makes you want to break away from it. But femininity is so much more than that.
Yeah. And I'm happy you said the word relationships, because that leads me to my next question. How do women that, you know, don't choose to embrace it, or maybe they're just not aware of it, how does it hinder their romantic relationships?
Oh, wow. In several ways. Women, they all say, I want a man who is strong. I want a man who's a protector. I want a man who's a provider. Everything that, you know, men are set up to be. But what they don't understand is those men do still exist. But they tend to want traditional women, right? Yeah. You say you want an alpha, you know, and a leader, but you want to be the alpha. And that literally is not possible. Two alphas cannot coexist, because to be alpha means to maintain some sort of control and power over others, right? And so a lot of women struggle because they can't understand that you can go and be successful in your career. You can go and do all of those things. But when it comes to the natural, the romantic, and the familial, you do have a role to play. And technically, the man is the head, you are the neck. The body cannot function without both. But you have an issue with being the neck because you don't think that being the neck is as vital or as critical to the function of the body. And it is. You can't let this desire to wear the pants go. You want to lead, you want to control, you want to literally strip this man of doing the very thing he was put here to do, which is protect, hunt, provide, and lead. You cannot ask a man to do away with his nature so that you can step into that role and feel more falsely fulfilled and expect to be successful romantically. It will never work, and it doesn't work.
You always express the fact that reclaiming your femininity is a journey. So for women who, you know, they're like, I'm ready to start this journey, where do they begin? How do they start unpacking the things they need to unpack to start embracing that feminine essence?
You know what? Seriously though, I modeled, so my book, I actually wrote it in a way where these things kind of, you know, build, these concepts kind of build one on top of the other. I could have started the book by talking about wear this perfume and wear that skirt and bat your eyelashes. What I know is this: you cannot really be a feminine woman if, for instance, you have things going on within. And so for any woman who wants to start on this journey, and I'm just going back to my book, I'm going to model my chats like I've actually built the book. You need to wipe your slate clean first, right?
Yeah.
It's like trying to cook in a dirty kitchen. You've got to make sure that kitchen is all clean. And so wiping the slate clean includes three things: forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and then actually sitting down and self-reflecting on how you feel about you, where you are currently in your life, where you want to be, what the disconnect is, and what you believe needs to happen for you to get to this, to get to the other side, whether it's right or wrong. Forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and then some true self-reflection. And so that's how I start the book off. Wiping your slate clean is first and foremost. If you have any anger, resentment, you know, pain and frustration, all of that inside of you, you're going to be hustling backwards. I need you to fix what's going on internally so that I can get you on the way. That is first. I would work so hard on myself. I would work so hard on my heart that I was really missing some fundamental pieces. Forgiveness, true forgiveness, complete forgiveness of others and myself would have me taking 10 steps forward, and then I would not get knocked 15 steps backwards, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And it's like, you want to be, you know, a gentle, loving, truly nurturing woman, but you're angry and aggressive and bitter and you don't trust anyone. How is that possible?
So let's talk a little bit about you. I was listening to a podcast that you did last year, and you were talking about your personal journey and how you discovered your brokenness at 15, but you didn't start your journey until you were 18. Can you talk to us about your healing process? Like, what did it look like? And most importantly, what changes did you see in yourself and in your relationships?
Wow.
That's a jam-packed question.
No. It's totally fine. So I realized at 15 that something was definitely wrong, particularly my relationship at home, you know, with my parents and, you know, with my father. But instead of understanding I needed to get fixed, I try to mask the pain, you know, and this is probably the first time I'm saying this, but, you know, I considered cutting myself. You know, I heard it was just a way to kind of, you know, manage the pain and take back control of the pain that you feel. Yeah. You know, and I told one of my friends, I said, I'm gonna cut myself. This is, I don't know what else to do. And she called my mom, you know, and my mom came rushing in my room, and I knew, you know, she told on my mom. That is what I knew to do at the time. And then I would put I was always very beautiful, and I always had, you know, a very, you know, nice shape, I'll say it, right? So then it was like, okay, well, maybe I should put my energy into boys, right? You know, and then that didn't work. And so at 18, I just realized, that's when it really hit home. And I think I really fell for someone for the first time. And he said to me, he said, you know, a relationship is like two people pushing a ball up the hill, working towards one common goal. Kelly, you're the only one pushing. And that really broke me. And I realized, like, you're right. I'm the only one who's always loving and fighting and trying to prove that I am lovable and that I am, you know, that I'm worthy. Where does that come from, though? And it was like at 18 in college, I really realized this is deeper than the relationship, you know, with, or living at home with your parents. There's something really wrong here. And so that is when I went on that journey. It started with a lot of prayer, a lot of alone time, and really having to be stripped. And then I would see changes little by little. God would send people in my path to show me things. At every stage of my life, he would send somebody in my path to hold the mirror to my face and say, this is who you are, whether you like it or not. This is who you are. This is what needs to change. And it was like a blessing, because it was like, okay, you're showing me, because I seek you so much. You're showing me, okay, this is what's wrong. And when you can master and get over this hump, this person is probably going to leave your life, and I'm going to send somebody else at the next level. Once you've mastered this level, and I'm going to show you what else is going on. And then you're going to realize you're going to be climbing higher and higher and higher, and people will go and people will come, and some people will come back. But my healing looked like people coming in my life and showing me this is what's going on. And prayer and meditation too. And me really receiving these people, because a lot of people want better for themselves. They want better relationships. But I'm like, you don't realize that person just came into your life to help you and to get you on your path, and you completely rejected everything they told you. You completely missed it. And so now you failed that test and you're stuck at this level and you're frustrated. And that is what my journey looked like.
Wow, that's powerful.
Very
but
much
I think
so.
It's great that you had that self-awareness, though. Without that self-awareness, it's like you're just blind, like you're just going in circles.
Yeah, and you know what? Now more than ever, it's like, you know, I'm seeing people of all nationalities, all walks of life, who, like, they want that spiritual connection. Whether you say God, the creator of heavens and earth, you know, meditation, you know, whatever. People want that knowledge of self because they understand that is where it starts. Yeah. You know, they want that self-awareness, because you're right. Had I not been aware enough, you know, to know, hey, and I pushed people away until God said, you're pushing people away that I'm sending on purpose. Stop doing that. They are the physical answers to your spiritual prayers. You need them. Allow them to come in and show you who you are. Do not get defensive, you know, because then you'll completely have missed the point. Yeah. And I see women do that, you know, so much too. I'm like, you know, you pray for better, and then when that something comes along to show you, I'm gonna, you know, test you so that you can hopefully pass and go to the next level. You say, oh, they judged me, right? Or they didn't accept me for who I was, and I'm like, they weren't supposed to accept you. Yeah. Their job was to show you who you are so that you can challenge yourself and pass the test and go to the next level. And now you're still stuck at this level 5 years later, because everybody who comes in to show you who you are, you push them away, and you keep on missing it. Yeah.
What did you have to unlearn from your upbringing and your childhood as it relates to men? Like, what did you learn about men and relationships that you had to say, no, I have to wipe this thinking clean so that I can start this journey fresh?
Wow, just about everything. You know, I am fortunate that my father, self-made millionaire, very hard worker. So I saw that. I saw what it was like for a truly masculine bear to go out there and get it. I'm proud that I got to see that. But what I had to unlearn, oh my goodness, is that men are people too. I had to stop going through life thinking that they didn't have their own feelings and their own fears and their own emotions, and that you could really just say anything and be, you know, and essentially treat them like emotional dump post, and they would just take it. I had to learn that men are people too. I had to learn that. I had to learn that men are naturally going to err on the side of, do you respect me? Do you respect my heart? Are you interested in me? Right? And a lot of women miss that connection too, because no one's ever said, men want to know if you respect them. Right? So I had to learn, like, respect is huge with men. You know, I didn't always show my father that respect. Not that he was, you know, always acting worthy of respect, but had I known then, growing up, what I know now, I could have given him more respect. And I think my femininity would have pulled out a different side of him, even as his daughter.
Yeah.
Right. So I definitely had to unlearn that. And I, you know, I'll be honest, I had to unlearn this idea that men fall in love with your physical. Yeah. Right. Being beautiful, having an amazing body, you know, a body that can kill, you know, you especially see it today. Women, they put so much into it. Like, you know, I've got to show my booty. I've got to show my breast. You know, I've got to have, everything is so exaggerated. And what I learned is men fall in love. You're pretty. And so, yeah, he might lust after that. But when that wears off, what does he really want to know? He wants to know your heart. He wants to know your personality, right? He wants to know, do you respect him? You know what I mean? And are you interested in him? Mm-hmm. So I had to unlearn, you know, that too. Your value is not solely in your physicality. It's what you can show up, you know, and give to him as a feminine woman. That's what they fall in love with.
Let's get into the heart of the book. Like, when you wrote it, what did you have in mind? Like, what kind of women did you want this book to touch?
Wow, that's emotional. I wanted this book to especially touch women who have avoided themselves, who have avoided their hearts, who have avoided their healing, you know, and they could have avoided it in many ways. Like, I'm going to avoid myself, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get, you know, find myself in the company of all these other toxic, you know, people or relationships, or I'm going to go and avoid myself and instead, you know, go to school, you know, for as long as I can to avoid what's really going on. I wanted to speak to those women. Like, I know you're exhausted, and I know you're afraid, and I know you think, oh, I'm in the second and third quarter of my life, and I'm alone, and I don't want to die alone. Those really broken women who are afraid right now, that's who I wanted this book to speak to.
Yeah. And I feel like there's so many women like that, you know, like they want that love and support. And you talk about this in the book too. I think you, let me make sure, you call it the fighter syndrome, right? The women, or just people in general, who either consciously or subconsciously, they reject love and support from others. Yeah. So what is your advice to those women who, you know, they have these built up trust issues from those past relationships, those toxic situationships, you know, people, even themselves, you know, the habits that they can't break? What is your advice to them?
Well, every habit can be broken. But my advice to someone who is really looking to overcome that would be understanding this. You don't trust others or yourself or both because you feel like you were let down, misused, abused, whatever, right? And you don't want to find yourself back in those situations. But what you don't understand is that whatever has happened is not about the other person. It is about you. It will always be about you. You know, so you can say, I'm getting emotional. Oh my gosh. You can say, oh, I don't want to love again. You know, John was such a terrible boyfriend. And I'm like, but it wasn't about John. Yeah. John came into your life as a mirror to show you what was going on in your own heart, so that you can eventually go to the highest level possible and be the happiest that you can be. How can you hate somebody or trust or not trust somebody who came into your life to get you on the right path? Yeah. And when you look at it like that, you're like, you know what? I can't lose if I keep on living. I have to keep on living. I cannot stay stuck right here. I will rob myself of everything I need to know to go to the highest level. And when I die, I don't want to say that I got stuck because I was afraid.
Yeah.
You've got to keep on going. You've got to keep on learning. It's not about the other people. It's not about that terrible friend who backstabbed you. It's about something you needed to know to go to mastery level. You want to get to mastery level. You want to get to the other side, because over here, you know, you do finally have those people who really look out for you, who really love you. You have that, but you'll never understand how to get over here if you stop dead in your tracks.
Yeah. What were some new things that you learned about yourself as you were writing this book? Because even though you're talking about past experiences, I'm pretty sure that as you were writing, you were like, wow, I didn't even know, like, I healed from this, or I never thought about this in a while. Like, so what did you discover about Keli?
That the feminine community really is my heart, and that my healing was really not for me. And that, you know, I could really finally look at, you know, our creator and say, a lot of my life has felt unfair, but look what you've given me for showing up for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely say that for sure.
What chapter was the most challenging for you to write?
Become Worth Your Ask, I think, was a challenging chapter. And I'm only saying that because, number one, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, but how long did it take you to become worth your ask? And can you properly translate this and what that really means to other women, and why that is so important? You know, having women understand, like, it doesn't matter what you say, right? It actually matters who you are, you know, because you can say you're this person, but the universe brings right to your front doorstep who you really are and what you're really about. You know, people like to say, I'm such a good person. You know, I care about everybody. And I'm like, oh, but ironically, you attract nothing but suckers and losers. Something's not right. That cannot be. So you say that you want one thing. You say that you believe that you're worthy, you know, of all of these things. But there's something going on within inside of yourself that keeps you far away from everything that you believe you are worthy of. Do you understand how important this is?
Yeah.
That was a challenge for me, because it took me a very long time to become that myself. And I wanted to make sure I was properly relaying that message to women, like, this is important. Do not skip over this part. If you want what you believe you are worthy of, you're going to have to work hard at becoming that first. And people love to negate that, you know, and they want to kind of minimize the argument, like, oh, so you're saying, for instance, if I want a man that makes $1 million, I've got to make $1 million. That's not what I'm saying to you, right? But what I am saying is things like, you know, the heart work. If accountability matters to you, work hard at truly becoming accountable, especially when nobody's watching, right? If communication is something you value, communicate to people and really go there. Don't hide behind it or hide behind something else and then wonder why you keep missing the mark in your life when it comes to other people and how they treat you. So that was a challenge.
Yeah, you have to be the energy that you want.
1000%. Truly, though, not this. We're living in hashtag culture where people love to say that, you know, I'm a queen. I'm like, queen of what? You know, truly, do you understand what that means? You know, you don't treat people well. You know, you can't articulate what's in your own heart. Queen of what? You know, you've got to be careful. You know, these terms, these liberal terms that have made people believe they can just call themselves whatever. It's really stripping us of being accountable, and it's dangerous. Yeah.
I love that. I love that point. So as it relates to becoming worth your ask, you speak a lot about high value men, right?
Yeah.
A lot of women want high value men. So one, what do you define as a high value man, right? And because we're talking about attracting love as an ambitious woman, how can women attract high value men into their lives?
So based on my experiences, I define a high value man as a man who first takes pride in being a man, you know, a protector, a provider, a hunter, right? He has the respect of, one, he respects himself. You know, he has the respect of his community, his family, his peers. He knows his purpose or has a strong sense of direction, leads with masculine sexual confidence. I'm not saying, you know, he's a pervert or, you know, he's, you know, a raunchy guy, but he's confident in his masculinity, and that can be felt by women. You know, he's a contributor. And so those are the things I define as high value attributes. And there are more things, obviously, but definitely first and foremost, you know, respect, honorability, and, you know, a sense of direction and purpose. It's really hard for a man to be sure about you if he's not sure about himself and why he's here and what he's going to do, you know, so definitely that. And then, you know, obviously a man who can protect and provide. You know, you can't necessarily say that you're high value if, you know, you can't necessarily provide for yourself and for a woman and a family. You know, you are set up, you are made to provide. So definitely those things. Takes pride in himself, his appearance, takes pride in his family, his role in community and society. And that leads me into women understanding how they can attract that man, understanding what he wants and listening to what he wants. Right? A lot of women want a high value man, but they don't understand men. And then if they get one who's willing to say, this is what I need and this is what I like, oh, he's trying to change me. He's trying to be controlling. And I'm like, you know, have you actually ever been under the authority of someone who's controlling? Because it doesn't look like that. First and foremost, if these women want to attract these men, you're going to have to really let your guard down.
Yeah.
You know, these men have worked really hard to get where they are. They know exactly what they want. You have to think about that, right? He doesn't make all this money. He hasn't, you know, achieved all of these things because he's not aware of what's going on. He knows what he wants, okay?
Yeah.
If he's telling you what he wants, and if you want to fit into that life, you're going to have to let your guard down and really be attentive and listen and be willing to study him, you know, and know yourself. When a man says, how are you different from other women and what do you bring to the table? And he may not interrogate you, but he's going to want to know in some way, okay, how are you different? What do you bring to the table? Listen, I've got plenty of money. I'm plenty of successful. You know, I want kids. I want to build a legacy. You know, where do you see yourself? Is that something you want? It's about the energy you exude. He might have, this guy who, you know, makes this amount of money and is handsome and all this, he probably walked right past you because he could tell that your heart wasn't good.
You mentioned early in our conversation that you have a class for women, and you said that there's another one that's coming up.
So I'm actually doing intimate femininity coaching. I decided to coach a group of 15 women. And in the future, yes, there will be coaching, but it will be automated. So I'll be on video like this and I'll be teaching. Still great value. But this first group is, you know, very intimate. It's going to be me doing live every single week for 6 weeks, you know, back and forth, one-on-one with me. So that's first. But after I coach live, I won't be doing it again. It'll be automated.
What can the women who are joining your classes expect from you as a guide?
Oh my goodness. Guide? So if you love the book, just imagine having the author of that book literally every week, you know, for 2 hours, telling you from A to Z, I'm going to treat you like a baby. And we are going to help you actually become a feminine woman. You know, like you cannot beat that, you know, starting from, and I told these women, this is going to get really deep. So be prepared to do the work. We're going to get into how to, you know, dress like a high value feminine woman. We'll get into all that. But, you know, we're really going to go deep and do the hard work because a feminine woman has to give off feminine energy. If you are a hardened, aggressive, you know, mistrusting of other people, you're angry, you're upset, you know, there's a lot you want to get out of your heart, but you don't know how to do it. That does not radiate feminine, beautiful, elegant, soft, gentle, vulnerable energy that people want when they encounter a feminine woman. So really digging out all that stuff and going into the core is what we're going to be doing. And then once I make you over, we're going to actually be talking about, now that you're all cleansed, right? Here is your nature. Here is masculine nature. And now we're going to actually be talking about 10 vital steps that every feminine woman needs to completely apply to her life so that she can actually attract what's in her heart instead of the life that kind of picks her.
My last question, because we've been talking about your awesome book, and if you could just hold it up for us again, I want to read the title because I just remembered that I did not read the title. Or do you want to read the title?
Yes.
Miss Author.
So, of course, it's Doctor's Orders. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm only on half of the screen. So it's Doctor's Orders, a guide for helping modern women reclaim their femininity for good.
This conversation, I saw someone say this conversation is refreshing. I mean, from this side, it's very, very, very refreshing. Because as I mentioned earlier, I swear, I've never had a conversation about femininity. Right? And we go out for brunch with our girls, but how often do we talk about femininity, masculinity. Like, we don't talk about any of that.
And femininity is inevitable. I'm like, there's man and there's woman. There's only two genders. It's like we drive all of this. So for you to not understand your role in this life, there are so many unhappy women who are confused and lost. And I get it. They don't understand what's happening. Can you imagine going through life operating outside of yourself, operating outside of your nature? I get so many women that say, I feel so masculine and I am sick. I am tired. My mother was a tomboy, or, you know, I was feminine and then I got hurt so many times. I thought, well, maybe I should become more masculine and aggressive and tough, you know, so that I'll be better shielded from disappointment and pain. Oh, but that hasn't worked either. Or, you know, I went, you know, the feminist movement told me that men were my enemy and get a degree and like conquer the world. And yes, I have the Tesla and the penthouse, but I have no one to love me. And men, they don't stay.
Yeah.
That is so scary. That's a reality for most women.
And where can we find your book?
www.doctorsordersbook.com. And if you actually open up your book, wait, you said you have the
I have the Kindle version.
So we wanted to make sure, my book marketing team, we wanted to make sure, this is the second page, we wanted people to know, you know, and obviously we put that in there because if you go to the website, you can subscribe and you're going to get free bonus tools, you know, like a, you know, downloadable journal and all those things. But the book is www.doctorsordersbook.com. That's the book website, the official book website. But if you're on Instagram, just go to my page, hit the link in my bio. It'll take you right to it.
So let's get into a few questions. Someone asks, what are your views with dating apps and social media?
I think they're very resourceful and a great idea if you know how to use them. I personally think that if you're going to be on the dating apps, try to get the higher end ones like Luxy and The League, because typically men have to verify their income to get access to certain features, and you'll see like, oh, he's verified, he makes over $200K a year, and you know, and I'm not saying that you should only be out looking for income, but typically men who make a lot of money, they understand that getting married or, you know, being in serious relationships, that means they have an opportunity to go higher up in their careers and in their companies. Look at all the leaders of firms, you know, look at all the CEOs, they're all married, and it's kind of like a boys club. So they typically, those men are looking for something serious. And so that's why I made that correlation. So dating apps, especially the luxury ones, are good. Here's a little tidbit about your profile. Please don't have your boobs hanging out, you know, spilling over. You know, make your name tasteful. Miss Kitty Cat is a dead end. You're only going to attract playboys. You know, your face, make sure you're smiling. You know, when men are in, you know, looking for something long term, they want a beautiful feminine woman who can add joy to their life. If you're mean mugging and your boobs are out, they're like, okay, she seems like a hardened woman with daddy's issues. Pass. Right? So those are definitely a few tips. And when you talk about yourself, think about who you are, what makes you different. If you like to rock climb, say that. Don't worry about coming off as weird, right? If you like anime movies, say that. What if he likes them too? Think about the things that make you different and that could inspire fun between the two of you. But dating online is a great idea.
This is not a question, it's a comment, but I'd like to know if you agree. Someone said, sometimes I feel like our elders failed us with these conversations.
1000%. But you have to understand the times that they came out of. You know, healing, self-love, self-help, understand these people, you know, were especially minorities, you know, they came from nothing but hardship and struggle. They weren't thinking about, oh, I need to know myself. No, they were thinking about, I want to survive. Yeah. I want to stay alive. And so we are the first generation who's having that conversation and even reaching back to our elders and saying, I understand what you mean, but that's wrong. And look how unhappy you are. So I agree with that.
So right now we're living in like these girl boss, lady boss times. And you know, it's a movement, you know, to be like a boss woman. Do you feel like femininity gets lost in that movement of women being bosses?
Yeah, and there are very few women who know how to really master both, who know how to run companies and lead teams and still be very feminine, especially in the romantic, the familial, and the natural, where femininity counts, especially. And I feel like it gets lost in that movement. And it's because that wave, or this wave, is an extension of the feminist movement that really pit men and women against one another. That made, and I'm not saying that there were not issues that needed to be addressed, of course. But for instance, the feminist movement went from being, we want equal opportunities, for instance, in the workplace so that we can shatter glass ceilings, to all around the man is your enemy. I'm like, why couldn't we just fix those things, but leave the familial, the romantic, and the natural alone? We started trying to fix everything over here that wasn't broken. And that's why people are lost. So 1000%, it doesn't matter if you like it, love it, or hate it, or you want to change something because we're living in modern times. You guys can keep down that path. 1000% you can. That will never work, and it hasn't worked. And now you've got people everybody's pointing their finger across the aisle. Oh, it's women. Oh, it's men. You guys are all trying to rewrite, the rules. Instead of just understanding you have a role, he has a role. If you play your part well, they will play their part well, and we can all get back to existing in perfect harmony. Right? But I will say this, feminine women and masculine men, they're finding each other and they're linking up. Everybody who's trying to, believe that it doesn't matter, that gender roles don't matter, that the natural doesn't matter, they're over here still fighting it out. So you got to decide where you want to fall on the spectrum at this point. Truly, you do. Because people are getting it together. These people over here just have decided, oh, I'm a woman, I can do all things men can do. Or, oh, women want equal opportunities, and so, they should be able to do this. And you're over here and you're single and you're confused and you're angry and you think, oh, there are no good women left. There are no good men left. No, you're trying to rewrite the rules and you're unsuccessful. It doesn't work. I'm already working on book number 2, and it's called He'll Take the Feminine One. We have women who, you've climbed the corporate ladder, you've got a PhD, a Juris Doctorate, you've got all these things, you've got the Mercedes, you've got your own house with a 3-car garage, you've got all of those things. And you thought that this super highly desirable man was going to come along, and make you his wife, because on paper, you guys could be like this perfect power couple. But you're upset because the $40,000 a year school teacher got the guy. But why did that happen? And I break down the feminist movement. It's more research, and, it's got some research in it. It's really, really go deep. And I'm like, you seem to be missing, out on what men are about just on a basic primal level. First of all, money and success to a certain degree has always been associated with masculinity, right? This is a more modern thing, women thinking that they should strip themselves of their femininity and their domesticity, to go and do something more masculine. And as much as you bought into that, checking off all the boxes on paper, they still don't care about it, which is why you see so many successful women who are CEOs and alone. And then you see nurses and, teachers, for instance, and, they've got the guy because they didn't go and invest in their education for 8 years, put themselves into debt, forget about dating and people skills, right? You did. You don't know how to be feminine, and you don't know how to relate to men. And when he's thinking about a wife and a mother for his kids, he's not thinking about, oh my God, her PhD is really gonna, it's everything. It's amazing. Unless he's a beta man and he's looking for that, which you don't want that guy. But a masculine, high value man is like, can you, pardon my language, can you have sex? Do you want kids? Do you believe in something? Can I be myself with you? Are you okay with being a life partner? Nothing that you went and chased after, on paper says that. You're just eligible on paper, and now you've got to really deal with that. Essentially, I'm talking to the career woman who doesn't understand where she's going wrong, and she's got to hear that. You don't need to be upset about, this, oh, she's not as smart as me. I'm like, and he doesn't care. She's feminine and she made him feel like a man. And you've got all your degrees hanging on your wall and your big house, and you're alone, and you refuse to accept it.
Do you have any recommendations for podcasts or other feminine influencers?
So there's this author called G.L. Lambert, man, and I really stumbled across his books on Audible. G.L. Lambert. Just go to G.L. Lambert, pick a book. Some of the titles are a little interesting, but the concepts are really great, and they will reshape your mentality when it comes to femininity, and womanhood and dating and romance. You will be like, wow, I have not been living. It will really change your perspective. So G.L. Lambert is a great author. Jake Woodard, he's great. And then Benjamin Daly, he's pretty good.
Ooh, I love this question. It says, what is one daily thing a woman can do to be more intentional about operating in her femininity?
Starting your day with gratitude is a big one. If she can find 5 things in the morning that she is grateful for, you will be surprised at how much your days will start to change and flow. Right?
That part.
Yeah, I actually have a chapter, Keep a Grateful Spirit. That is so beautiful and so attractive. You know, it's again, it's that internal thing, you know, that sends the message of this is a truly feminine woman who understands her role in things. And so starting every day, and I do it, 5 reasons to be grateful, or to just, you know, an attitude of gratitude. Truly, it sounds cliche, but it makes all the difference. And when you attract what you want, you're naturally happier. And when you're happier, it's just easier to operate in your femininity. Completely easy.
How do you make a man feel like a man?
Wow. I appreciate you. I need you. Thank you. You'd be surprised at how far those words go. I need you. I appreciate you. And thank you.
Yeah.
Men are about respect. And if they can't feel needed, they will find a way to feel needed. And sometimes that means being in a relationship with another woman. You need to make a man feel, you know, appreciated and needed, for sure. Thank you. I appreciate you. Showing gratitude for him, 1000%.
Yeah, Angela and Holton actually talked about this in the first part of this chat we're having, and she said men want to feel needed. They want to know that they're valued.
Understanding feminine and masculine nature will really clear up so much confusion, right? Think about that. If a man is designed to literally hunt and protect and provide, that is what he does. If he can't do that, he feels like he's misplaced.
Yeah.
He needs that. He needs that. So even if you don't need the help, pull him in. Like, hey, babe, can you do this for me? You know, it's not yeah, you can do it. Sure. You know, we get it. You're every woman. It's all in you. But it's like, that's not why you're here.
Someone asked how to get the ring and not the runaround.
The ring and not the runaround.
That's your book title.
That's so funny. The ring and not the runaround. First of all, I hope you got my book, because that is actually not necessarily get the ring and not the runaround, but dating with healthy boundaries so that you don't waste your time, so that you can understand clearly what you want out of a relationship, and not be giving your time and investing emotional equity into a dead end or an unworthy investment. You need to understand what you want out of life. Be unapologetic about that. All of my friends who are currently married, I just had a friend with a conversation last night. She's she's about to be 31. And she said, you know, people can say what they want. She said, my husband will tell you one of the reasons I loved her so much is because she was very unapologetic and straightforward about what she wanted. You know, she didn't pressure me. She just simply said, I do want kids and I want to be married, you know, and if that's not what a man wants, you know, no biggie. You know, it's just not for me. And because he liked her so much and because she was so feminine and made him feel like a man, he was like, well, if this is who I want, I probably should start thinking about that. You know, but imagine if she wasn't so, you know, sure. You know, she probably would have entertained men who didn't want that, and she would have, that's too much. Be sure about what you want.
Yeah.
And only entertain men who will give it to you.
What advice would you give to women who are 27 years old?
Okay. I hope you've had some good years living your best life. That's important. But get clear on what you want and start doing what it takes to get it. You can't wake up one day and decide, you know, oh, I want this and I want that. You know, Instagram makes it look like everybody's an Insta millionaire. Or, oh my God, I walked outside and I met the man of my dreams. Does that happen? Sure. But nobody talks about the preparation. So you can't start preparing yourself. You can't start preparing yourself at, you know, whatever age and think it's just going to happen tomorrow. You'll look up and you'll be very disappointed.
Is there anywhere for, you know, women who are just interested in learning more about femininity? Is there a way for them to directly contact you, or do you recommend that they read the book, you know, take the course? How do you go about
1000% get my book. I mean, I wrote it with you in mind. My goal is to actually sell 90,000 copies of this book this year. This work is going to really change so many women's lives. I cannot tell you, so many women have reached out to me like, I'm only in chapter 2. Chapter 2 seems to really get people. The review is like, I'm only in chapter 2 and I'm crying. And I'm like, you're only in chapter 2. Pull it together. But yeah, I definitely get the book. And then obviously, you know, go to my page and you can see, you know, my email address. You can text me. My text number is at the link in my bio. There's so many ways to get me. So many.
Keli, I love this conversation. You gave me so much perspective. As I keep saying, I've never had a conversation like this before. So,
Wow.
you know, talking to you was a joy, but what I really appreciated was just your authenticity. You know, you put your soul into the book and just, you know, I'm speechless. Thank you so much for your time, Keli. I
No
really
problem.
appreciate you.
Cheers to you guys. Cheers to love and cheers to femininity. Seriously.
Yes. Have a great night, ladies.
You too.
I'm going to go get my wine now.
Do it.